Okay, hi everyone. This is Santino Mancuso. I'm here with my great friend and colleague, Vincent Godbout. He's one of the speakers at the Cosmobiology Institute conference. We call it the Cosmic Discovery Conference, April 24 through 26, 2026 in Nashville, Tennessee. Vincent is one of the speakers. And if you want to learn more about the conference, if you go to cosmobiologyinstitute.org, you can also go to just cosmobiology.org. You'll come up with the screen. You can click on for more details, and you'll see the information about the conference, and you'll see some of the speakers. I'm one of the speakers. There's Vincent. He's giving two lectures, one on the global zodiac. What Vincent discovered is that the way zodiac signs affect us, if you have Sun in Aries, Taurus, Gemini, whatever, is different depending on where you live. I know that's a new, wild, sounds like a crazy idea, but he's got like solid data that shows this. I think it's a very, very exciting thing. And another lecture he's giving is, now this is maybe even more shocking, he has found predictive methods that show when you're more likely to die, to the end of life. This is not fatalism. It doesn't work every time, but some increased probability. Astrology actually really works. Oh, Vincent is, almost like a Renaissance man. He's a singer in choirs. He loves music, art. Was a professor of mathematics for years. He does all this different stuff. He's actually what's called a mentalist. He's an entertainer.
Yeah.
So he's a man of all, like lots of different sides to him. Fascinating person. And his research is like mind blowing. I mean, you just got to come to this conference to learn about this stuff. So, Vincent, I just want to introduce people to you in a pretty short interview. You can tell us a little bit about your research, maybe a little background, like where you live and something like that. So, the floor is yours, Vincent.
Yeah. I was born in Montreal, and I was raised in French. English is my second language, so I apologize for not being as fluent as I like. Um, when I was younger, I thought I would be an artist, either a writer or doing cinema, like movies. How do you say that?
Yeah.
Doing films. And at the moment, I discovered science. It was like falling down my horse with a pure revelation. It changed my whole life. I,
Hmm.
I read book about physics. And I came into math and physics as when you enter in religion. So I quit all my fun life with my fun artist friends, and I went into math. That was very surprising for me, but it was kind of a revelation.
Yeah.
At that time, I didn't know I would become an astrologer. I was a kind of skeptical profile, but I was very curious. I was very curious about invisible. I read Edgar Poe, fantastic stories at age of 12. I was fascinated by magic and things weird or bizarre. So astrology interested me, and I tried to learn it many times. I knew how to build a card and calculate and everything, but it didn't convince me. And but at one moment it changed. It changed. Uh, it's You want to know why?
Yeah, yeah. So, okay. So this is fascinating. You
As I
started with,
told you,
yeah.
Santino, after reading Walden and everything, I lived in. I just quit. I was very young when I was a professor in college in math. I was lucky to find a job, and I just quit for 2 years as sabbatical years, and I went to live in the woods. So that was the closest I ever been of something in spiritual for me, nature. When I came back in Montreal, I wanted to dive into uh, ESP, like spiritual. And I tried. At one moment, I found another book, Astrology, and I said, "Oh, maybe I'd be better with this because there's math." And I began to study. And what convinced me is very funny. It's I do charts of people around me, not mine. I waited about 2 years before doing my own chart because I wanted to be seasoned before looking at the most important person for me, which
Mhm.
is myself. It's a joke. And uh, I was doing someone I know fine who's very aggressive, very choleric, and I didn't see it in the chart. The chart was displaying someone very smooth, very, and I said, wow, it doesn't work. Up to the moment I discovered I had the wrong year.
Oh,
So this is
yeah.
exactly the Popper principle of how do you say that? Falsifiability. It's like
Falsifiability.
I could
Falsifiability.
falsify my
Yeah.
and I was very, very impressed when I saw that.
Okay.
Because I at that very moment I knew I could trust me about my perception of the statements of astrology.
Yeah. So just to summarize, we have an artist who gets excited about science, goes into the woods, connects with nature, and like you're putting these two parts to yourself, the artist, and you're
Yes.
still a singer and you love music and all this stuff. And analysis. I think this is like the challenge of astrology. It's like some kind of weird mix of mysticism, but we're saying things about people and everybody has a different attitude towards it. And I think the exciting thing that's happening, and to me, especially like just in the last 5 to 10 years, seems to be growing very quickly, is we're making a bridge. Like, oh my God, you can measure this stuff, you can use all this huge databases and powerful computers, and it really doesn't dull down our sense of magic and mystery. I think it enhances it. And so you're finding out that these two sides to yourself are really coming together, and you're going to share at the conference what you discovered about these two areas, about how zodiac signs change in different locations and how transits, and I think you started working on secondary progressions.
Yeah. Actually, Santino, I think that the zodiac signs, we could say inverted, we'll explain better, is more provocative and more a bump than finding there's a model kind of predictive. I don't like predictive. How do you say that?
Yeah,
Forecasting
yeah,
um, about that because we all there's a taboo about that. I mean,
yeah,
we don't for obvious ethical reasons,
yeah. So
but we know that since a long time. Anarete, things
yeah,
like that. But inverting the zone. Oh, you said about where you live. It's very simple. Either you're northern hemisphere or southern hemisphere. The
yeah.
differences between those
Yeah, so
hemispheres.
what you're saying, in case some people didn't follow when you said the word bomb, it's an explosive idea. Just
Yeah.
to be clear to everybody, what Vincent's saying is that he's giving two lectures, one on transits and things that go on at the time of death, the other on how zodiac signs work differently in
Hmm.
the southern hemisphere.
Yes.
And you're saying more provocative, like more of an explosion, is the idea that zodiac signs change. So I think we've told them enough to whet their appetite to come to the conference and learn about this research that's not
Yes.
just your opinion. It's not just like, oh, I did 30 charts or 40
No,
charts.
no, no.
Think about hundreds of charts from a
Yeah.
database. I
And I
mean,
said a bomb, Santino, because for me it was a bomb. I fell off my chair. I mean, it was what I was expecting.
exactly.
It was against my own intuition what I thought.
That's why Vincent and I and so many other people who are doing research, one of the things that's exciting to us is that we get shocked, we get
Yes.
surprised.
Yes.
We want to know how astrology works, and we're finding that by putting it through these big data systems,
Yes.
and Vincent, I think I don't know if you've been using this idea long enough, but eventually what happens, I know with your other research this is true, that when you take what you learn from the research and then you use it with
Yeah.
your friends, your family, your clients, it makes your consultations better. Like if
Yes.
it's true with the data, it's true, and we're learning how astrology works. And sometimes, I mean, a lot of things that I've thought are true in astrology, the way I came into all this harmonics and stuff was because of the research. My intuition and personal experience has not always been accurate, and
Yeah. I'd like to add
it's really
something. The more
improved.
you're shocked, the more you find something astonishing, the more you submitted to the burden of the proof.
Yeah,
So when I saw the result, I didn't have choice to replicate, to be sure, because it was so unbelievable that
right.
I put the burden on me to do. This is the interesting part about research. The level of truth you're
Yeah.
expecting, because if you find something like you do research with vibrational astrology and harmonics, this is so disturbing for a lot of astrologers that you got the burden of the proof. You got to replicate because
Yeah.
this is so new.
Yeah.
So it's a bit the same idea.
Same idea. And I love that you're sharing that the shock that seeing how astrology works, and it's not always exactly the way we thought it was, is shocking to us as researchers. And then as we replicate the studies and we apply the ideas, I mean, sometimes it confirms what we believe, and sometimes it introduces completely new ideas.
Hmm.
And it's just exciting that the world of analysis, the world of psychology and working with people, the world of mysticism, the sense that everything's interconnected, all coming together. So that's it. Vincent, thank you so much for your time. Thank you, everyone, for listening. And this is a promotion for the conference. I'm not much of a salesman, but I do believe in this movement. And part of my mission here is to share what's going on. So thanks again.